Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're going to be looking at how the rise of large language models, I'm just going to say LLMs from now on,
Sounds good.
are shaking up data governance for businesses.
Yeah.
So, you sent over this really interesting article from datapro.news called Adapting Data Governance to the Age of LLMs. And
Yeah.
there's a really cool interview kind of woven in there with a data engineer. So there's a lot of good stuff to unpack here.
Yeah, this will be a good one, I think.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
So.
One of the things that I think you'll find really interesting about this is that it's not just about keeping your data neat and tidy anymore.
Right.
With LLMs being so data driven, the way that we approach governance, it needs a complete overhaul.
Yeah. And I was surprised to learn that building your own LLM, even if it's like a simple one, it can give you a huge advantage in understanding this whole data governance game.
Absolutely. The article really drives home this point that it's shifting from, this purely compliance-focused role to something way more strategic. It's about enabling analytics and AI initiatives, and most importantly, creating business value through what they're calling trusted data.
Trusted data?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
It's a good question.
Especially with LLMs pulling information from all over the place.
Yeah, you see, for LLMs to be truly effective, you need data that's accurate, it's reliable, and it's easily accessible.
Okay.
But it's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of solution.
Right.
Data governance needs to be more dynamic and adaptable to how each LLM is actually being used.
So we can't just set some ground rules and call it a day.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Imagine an LLM using something called retrieval augmented generation.
Okay.
Or RAG.
Raggy.
Yeah, basically it grabs information from tons of sources in real time to answer your question.
Okay.
So let's say you're asking about the latest trends in renewable energy. RAG would allow the LLM to pull in real-time data from industry journals and news websites and even social media.
Wow.
To give you the most up-to-date answer possible.
Okay, so it's constantly learning and updating its knowledge.
Constantly.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
But it also sounds a bit chaotic from a data governance standpoint.
Right. You're exactly right. And that's where real-time governance comes in.
Yeah, okay.
Think of it as applying security checks on the fly as the LLM is accessing and processing that information.
Mm-hmm.
So it's making sure that the data being used is appropriate, it's secure, and it meets all those compliance requirements.
So it's like having a super smart bouncer at the door of your data. Making sure only the right information gets in.
Yep.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
But, let's face it, a lot of the data out there is pretty messy.
It is.
What about all that unstructured data, documents and images and audio files?
Yeah.
Stuff that isn't, neatly organized in a spreadsheet.
Ah, yes, the Wild West of unstructured data. The article highlights this as a major challenge.
Okay.
Because it's often siloed, it's in different systems, lacking proper context or categorization.
Right.
And this can lead to inconsistencies, inaccuracies, and even those hallucinations that we hear about with LLMs.
Hallucination?
Yeah.
Like the LLM just starts making things up?
Well, not literally, but it can generate outputs that sound plausible, but are actually based on faulty reasoning because it's been fed bad data.
Oh?
Yeah, so it's like trying to bake a cake with spoiled ingredients.
Okay.
The result's not going to be good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To avoid this, the article really stresses the need for strong management systems for this type of data.
Okay.
Things like hierarchical categorization, tagging for quick retrieval, and consistent classification systems.
So it's like the difference between rummaging through a junk drawer versus having a well-organized filing cabinet?
Exactly.
You're much more likely to find what you need if you have a good system in place.
Yes, and that's crucial when working with LLMs. You need to be confident that the data they're using is trustworthy.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But even with well-organized data, there's still this black box issue.
Right.
How can we track an LLM's decision-making process, especially when it's pulling data from all these different places?
That's a crucial question.
Yeah, how do we know how it reached a specific conclusion?
Yeah, and one that the article addresses through the concepts of data lineage and traceability.
Okay.
So we need to be able to follow the data's path through the LLM, where it came from, how it was transformed, and what decisions were made based on it.
Mm-hmm.
This helps us identify errors and understand potential biases and figure out why an LLM might have produced an inaccurate or misleading response.
So are we talking about tagging every single piece of data with a detailed history of its existence?
Yeah.
Like a digital passport for data?
In essence, yes. The article suggests tagging and segmenting data based on sensitivity, importance, and relevance. So yeah, this data passport could include information about the data's owner, intended purpose, security level, and any relevant compliance requirements.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It helps to make it more concrete.
Sure.
Speaking of data accuracy, this leads us to another important point.
Yeah.
How do we ensure that LLMs not only provide us with technically correct answers, but also understand what we actually need from them?
Right. That's where semantic layers come in.
Okay.
Think of them as a translator between the language of our business needs and the language of data.
Ooh, I'm all ears. This sounds interesting.
So a semantic layer adds context and specificity to the data.
Okay.
So, for example, let's say you're a marketing team and you're trying to use an LLM to predict customer churn. A semantic layer could provide the LLM with a deeper understanding of what churn actually means for your business.
Right.
Things like specific customer behaviors, purchase patterns, and engagement metrics. And this level of detail helps the LLM generate more accurate and relevant predictions, which reduces those hallucinations and speeds up your AI development process.
So it's about giving the LLM a cheat sheet for understanding our business goals.
Yeah.
And how our data relates to those goals.
Exactly. By building this bridge between business logic and data language, we can leverage the power of LLMs more effectively and ensure they're working with us.
Right.
Not just spitting out data without truly understanding the context.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. Now, the article also features an interview with Max Teixeira.
Yes.
And he offers some great insights, particularly for data engineers.
He does.
He talks about the value of deploying your own LLM, even if it's a simple one.
Right.
Now, building my own LLM sounds a little intimidating, I have to admit.
It might sound daunting, but Max's point is that building even a simple LLM can be a game changer in terms of understanding how AI works under the hood.
So it's like a hands-on AI crash course.
Exactly. And it's not just about the technical skills either. It's about cultivating a problem-solving mindset, getting familiar with data pipelines, and learning how to optimize a model for a specific purpose.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And the experience that you gain by actually building an LLM, I mean, that would make you incredibly valuable in an AI-driven world.
Absolutely. It's like learning to drive a car.
Okay.
Once you understand how the engine works, you can not only drive it better, but you can also troubleshoot problems and make informed decisions about maintenance.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
So Max also emphasizes the importance of AI literacy at all levels of an organization.
Yes.
Not just for the, tech team.
Yeah.
Why is that so important?
Well, he's highlighting the fact that AI is no longer just a specialized tool.
Right.
It's becoming a transformative force that's going to touch every aspect of a business.
Okay.
So from the CEO down to the frontline staff, everyone needs a basic understanding of how AI works, what it can do, and importantly, what it can't do.
So we're talking about like a fundamental shift in thinking here.
Yes.
AI is no longer just a cool gadget. It's becoming a core part of how businesses operate and strategize.
You got it. And this shift requires us to think differently about data governance.
Okay.
We need to go beyond compliance and focus on governing data in a way that fuels innovation, allows for responsible AI development, and creates real business value.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground already, from trusted data to the wild west of unstructured data.
Yeah.
From tracking data lineage to building our own LLMs.
It's a lot to take in, but it's all incredibly relevant to how businesses are going to navigate this new era of LLMs. And the insights from Max Teixeira, particularly his emphasis on hands-on experience and AI literacy, they offer some really practical guidance for anyone looking to adapt and succeed in this rapidly changing environment.
Totally.
It really is a fascinating shift, isn't it? And this ideal AI literacy is so crucial. Like, everyone needs to be a part of this conversation, not just the, the tech wizards.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like learning a new language. You don't need to become a linguist, but having a basic understanding helps you navigate a whole new world. And that brings us back to Max Teixeira's experience building his own LLM.
Right.
It's a perfect example of how hands-on learning can really demystify AI.
It's a great point in the interview. Max actually mentions that he was able to deploy and train an LLM without being a programmer himself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it shows just how accessible these tools are becoming, and it emphasizes the importance of experimentation and just diving in.
It's funny. I used to think of AI as this incredibly complex, almost magical thing.
Right.
But hearing Max's story makes it seem a lot more approachable. Like, if he can do it, maybe I could too.
That's the spirit. And by going through that process, even on a small scale, you gain a deeper appreciation for the nuances of data management and model optimization and all the complexities of building a robust AI system.
So it's not just about the technical know-how. It's about developing a problem-solving mindset and understanding the entire process of AI development from start to finish.
Couldn't have put it better myself, and that type of experience is especially valuable for data engineers.
Yeah.
As AI becomes increasingly integrated into every industry, data engineers who can build and manage these complex systems are going to be in high demand.
It sounds like a pretty exciting time to be a data engineer.
It is.
They're not just managing databases anymore. They're shaping the future of AI.
That's right.
I bet there are a lot of data engineers out there right now feeling pretty good about their career choices.
Absolutely. And as Max points out, hands-on experience with LLMs can open doors to even more strategic roles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Imagine data engineers advising on AI initiatives, leading projects that integrate AI into core business functions, or even shaping the overall AI strategy for their company.
That's a far cry from simply keeping databases clean and organized.
It is.
But it makes perfect sense. The more you understand about how these AI systems work, the better equipped you are to guide their development and ensure that they're used responsibly and effectively.
Precisely. The rise of LLMs is pushing data governance into a new era, one that requires a fundamental shift in how we think about data, its value, and its potential impact on our businesses and our world.
Yeah.
It's not just about compliance anymore. It's about fostering innovation, building trust, and ensuring that these powerful AI systems are used ethically and for the benefit of everyone.
I like how you framed that it's not about fearing AI or trying to stifle its development.
Right.
It's about embracing its potential while putting the right safeguards in place.
Exactly. And that's where the principles that we've been discussing come: data quality, traceability, semantic layers, AI literacy. They provide a framework for navigating this exciting but complex landscape and ensuring that we harness the power of LLMs responsibly, beneficially, and sustainably.
It feels like we're at a real turning point.
It does.
LLMs are here to stay, and they're going to fundamentally change how we approach data technology and even the nature of work itself. It's a bit mind-blowing when you think about it.
You've hit the nail on the head. This is a time of tremendous opportunity, but it also demands a willingness to adapt, learn, and embrace new ways of thinking.
Right.
The companies and the individuals who can do that will be the ones who truly thrive in the age of AI.
Well said. It's been an incredible journey exploring these ideas with you. But before we wrap up, there's one more crucial aspect of data governance in the age of LLMs that we need to address.
Okay.
And that, my friend, is security.
Ah, yes, security, a critical piece of the puzzle that can't be overlooked as we rush to embrace the potential of LLMs.
Exactly. With these models handling such vast amounts of data, often very sensitive data, the stakes are higher than ever before. We need to ensure that information is protected at every stage.
Absolutely. And that means thinking about security from multiple angles.
Okay.
It's not just about protecting the data itself from unauthorized access.
Right.
It's about ensuring the integrity of the models, preventing manipulation or tampering, and even considering the potential for adversarial attacks.
Adversarial attacks? That sounds a bit ominous.
It can be.
You mean someone deliberately trying to trick the LLM?
Yeah.
Or corrupt its outputs?
Precisely. As AI systems become more sophisticated, they also become more attractive targets for malicious actors.
Okay.
Imagine someone attempting to manipulate an LLM to generate false information, spread propaganda, or even disrupt critical infrastructure.
That does sound like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does a little bit.
But it also underscores the importance of thinking about security proactively.
You're absolutely right. We can't just assume that our AI systems are secure by default. We need to be vigilant, constantly assessing risks, implementing robust security protocols, and staying one step ahead of potential threats.
So it's not just about building a better mousetrap.
Right.
It's about making sure the mousetrap can't be hacked or turned against us, which honestly is a pretty terrifying thought.
A very apt analogy: security has to be baked into the entire AI lifecycle, from the initial data collection and model training all the way to deployment and ongoing monitoring. It's not something you can just tack on at the end.
And that requires a deep understanding of not just AI and data governance, but also cybersecurity principles and best practices. That's a whole other layer of complexity.
Absolutely. It's a multidisciplinary challenge that requires collaboration between data scientists, engineers, security experts, and everyone in between. It's a team effort.
It sounds like securing LLMs is a complex and constantly evolving challenge.
It is.
One that requires constant vigilance and adaptation as the technology continues to advance.
That's exactly right. There's no room for complacency as we embrace the incredible potential of LLMs. We must also be mindful of the risks and take proactive steps to mitigate them.
Well said, and on that note, I think we've given our listener a lot to digest already.
Indeed we have, but there's still more to uncover when we return. We'll dive into the fascinating world of real-time data governance and its crucial role in ensuring the trustworthiness and reliability of LLMs.
It really makes you think about how data governance, it has to be so much more dynamic in the age of LLMs.
Right.
It's not something you can just set and forget.
It's not. And that leads us perfectly into the concept of real-time data governance.
Okay.
Remember we talked about those LLM using RA to pull information from all kinds of sources on the fly.
Yeah. It's incredible how they're constantly learning and adapting, but it also makes me wonder how you can possibly keep up with governing that data when it's changing so rapidly.
Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it? We can't rely on static rules or predefined policies alone.
Right.
We need systems that can assess and govern data in real time right as the LLM is accessing and processing it.
So it's almost like having a super smart security system.
Yes.
That's constantly scanning and filtering information, making sure it meets all the necessary requirements before it even gets to the LLM.
That's a great way to put it. Real-time data governance allows us to be much more agile and responsive to the unique demands of LLMs.
Okay.
We can set dynamic policies that adapt to the specific situation, the type of data being accessed, and even the user's intent.
That sounds incredibly powerful.
It is.
But I'm curious, how does this real-time governance actually work in practice? What kind of technology is involved?
Well, it can get pretty complex.
I bet.
But the key idea is to embed data governance directly into the LLM's workflow.
Okay.
Imagine this as the LLM is pulling in data to answer a query. It's simultaneously checking that data against a set of dynamic rules and policies.
So it's a continuous feedback loop.
Yes.
Making sure the data aligns with the governance principles that we've set. It's like a safety net built right into the system.
Exactly. And this feedback loop opens up some pretty incredible possibilities.
Like what?
Well, we can ensure compliance with regulations like GDPR or IPA, even when handling sensitive data.
Okay.
We can prevent the use of unreliable or biased data sources, which reduces those hallucinations and promotes fairness.
That's huge.
And we can also protect confidential information and intellectual property by restricting access to authorized users.
Right.
And perhaps most importantly, we can track data lineage in real time.
Wow.
Providing transparency and accountability for how the LLM arrived at its conclusions.
That's a lot to unpack.
It is.
But it definitely sounds like the benefits outweigh the complexities.
Absolutely. Real-time data governance really empowers us to unlock the potential of LLMs while upholding the highest standards of data quality, security, and ethical use.
I can see why this would be a game changer for any company looking to leverage LLMs effectively and responsibly. It's like having your cake and eating it too.
Exactly.
You get the power of LLMs without sacrificing data integrity or security.
That's a perfect way to sum it up. It's a critical piece of the puzzle as we step into this new era of AI-driven innovation.
Well, this deep dive has been a real eye-opener. We've covered so much ground, from those fundamental shifts in data governance to the mind-blowing capabilities of real-time data management.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, what stands out to you as the most important takeaway for our listener?
I think for me, it's the realization that LLMs aren't just another tool in the tech toolbox.
Right.
They represent a transformative force that requires a completely new way of thinking about and governing data. It's not about compliance or risk avoidance anymore. It's about creating value, driving innovation, and ensuring these powerful technologies are used ethically and for the greater good.
That's such an important point, and it reminds me that all of us, whether we're data scientists, business leaders, or just curious individuals, we all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI.
Absolutely. The future of AI isn't predetermined. It's being shaped right now, and we all have a responsibility to be a part of that conversation.
So to our listener, we leave you with this. If you were building an LLM for your company, what unique data challenges would you face? How would you make sure that your LLM is not only powerful, but also responsible, trustworthy, and aligned with your company's values? Keep those questions in mind as you continue to explore the fascinating world of LLMs and their impact on all of us.
And remember, this journey of learning and discovery, it never really ends. Keep asking questions, keep pushing boundaries, and keep exploring those incredible possibilities that lie ahead.
Well said. Until next time, keep those brains engaged and keep diving deep. We'll see you on the next episode of The Deep Dive.